nice bit of spice. If you're anything like Mrs. ChilliChump, you love sweet Thai chili sauce. Now, I don't mind this, it tastes good. I just always feel like it needs a little bit more heat. There's a few ways to go about that. You can go and add your own chilies into an existing one, but why not make your very own? That's what we're going to do today. Not only that, I'm also going to show you a couple different methods of thickening this up. And this is going to help you out not just with making this sauce, but with any other sauces you make in the future. So I'm going to give you an alternative, and well, we'll show you the pros and cons of going with something that is different. Let's take a look at the ingredients we're going to use. Now, I know a lot of you maybe don't grow chilies, or you can't get hold of some of the chilies that I use in my recipes, so I'm going to keep this one fairly accessible. I have used two varieties in here that are actually in my commercial version of the sauce. So if you do want to buy some sweet Thai chili from ChilliChump, I will have this in the store. By the end of this video, you'll be able to get yourself a bottle, and you can see what I think sweet Thai chili sauce should taste like. Now, I'm using Kashmiri Mirch and my CC Peri Peri in that sauce. The Kashmiri Mirch adds a really lovely flavor. The CC Peri Peri is a very hot chili, but that is the bird's eye side of this. A traditional sweet Thai chili sauce uses bird's eye chilies, and it gives a lovely bite. So you definitely want to have some of those. And those you should be able to get at any sort of supermarket. And hopefully you're growing some. If you do want to get seeds as well for my CC Peri Peri or the Kashmiri Mirch, I'll leave links down below, and you can go buy yourself some seeds. That's what we have inside here, but we also have some other varieties, because you don't have to just stick to those. We have some Aleppo chilies. Now, I know these are fairly common over in the US, not really over here in the UK, but I of course grow them. We even have some of my cayenne. Now, these might look a little different to what you might be used to for cayenne, but these are some that I've selectively bred. I did get a lot of questions about that in my chili jam video, about why my cayenne looked a little different to maybe yours. You can use a variety of different chilies and you'll be perfectly fine. Try not to use chilies that you wouldn't eat in a normal situation, because if they don't taste good to you raw, they're definitely not going to taste good to you in this sauce. So for the amount we're going to make today, we need about 100 grams of chilies. And if you want, you can use chili powder as well, but I prefer to use a fresh chili because you want the chunks in there. I mean, even in the commercial sauce here, there are little chunks and seeds and things like that. And I think it really adds to it. And I have exactly the same going on in my sauce. Very important ingredient, and probably the most important ingredient when making a sweet Thai chili sauce, and that is a beautiful fish sauce. You need a really good quality fish sauce if you can get hold of it. Obviously, you may not be able to get hold of a good quality one, but do your best to get a strong, pungent fish sauce. But next one here is rice wine vinegar. Please don't go with distilled vinegar. You will not enjoy the outcome. Rice wine vinegar, it's a very subtle taste. It's very mild, more mild than even white wine vinegar, which is one that I use a lot in my hot sauces. Then water. We need water. And of course, garlic. Almost every Thai dish has garlic, and in my opinion, any good tasting dish has garlic. I love garlic so much. This here is citric acid. Now, this is just to help with the shelf life and longevity of this. I use citric acid as a natural preservative for my sauce. That's 4 grams of citric acid. In this hand, this is xanthan gum. I have talked about this at length. I use this extensively in most of my sauces to not thicken up necessarily. What I am using it for is to try and hold it all together. So emulsify your sauce. And xanthan gum is absolutely perfect for that. There's a few reasons you want to use xanthan gum. Number one, you don't have to heat it to make it work. So you can use this in a cold sauce. We are obviously going to be heating this, so that's fine. It also doesn't damage it if it is heated, like some other types of emulsifiers. Now, the other emulsifier we're going to use here is cornstarch. And you'll see that with cornstarch, well, let's not spoil it. Let's wait till the end and you can see what the difference is going to be. Because I'm going to be making a full batch and then I'm going to half them to separate the different types of emulsifiers and thickeners, I'm going to use 1.5 grams of xanthan gum. And over here, 15 grams of cornstarch. But if you are going to be making it one way or the other, it'll be 30 grams of cornstarch if you're just using cornstarch. If you're just using xanthan gum, 3 grams of xanthan gum. So yeah, ideally I'll be using a blender, but hey, stick blender will do the job. Let's add some vinegar just to give it a bit of liquid. I think that has done it. Probably a little chunkier than I would normally like, but yeah, looks good. Can always blend a bit more later after we've cooked. Let's add the rest of the liquids. Don't use all the water because we need to make a bit of a paste a little bit later with the corn flour. We can add the citric acid now, that's fine. And blend it up again just to mix it all up. I almost forgot one of the key ingredients, sugar. This is a sweet Thai chili sauce, so of course we need sugar. For the amounts of ingredients that we have here, 1 kilogram of sugar does the job. If you want to bring it down a little bit, you can bring it down to the same amount of rice wine vinegar that you've added, so 850 grams. But I'm going with a little bit extra because my chilies are a little bit hotter. But before we add the thickener in, we're going to just cook this up a bit, heat it up, get the sugar to all mix in, because as you can see the sugar's all sitting at the bottom there. The chili's all sitting at the top. And this is actually one of the reasons why you're adding things like xanthan gum or corn flour, is because of that separation that you see. Well, I mean, not that, sugar will cook in. But this up here, if you don't add a binder, it's just going to keep on separating like that. Now when you're doing this, don't cook it too high a heat because you will end up with some burnt chilies, and that's not ideal. Now the length of time you're going to cook this is really dependent on what you want from this. If you want a sauce, kind of like what I've got over here, which is fairly liquid, it is a sauce, then you're going to cook it for maybe, I'll get it to simmer first and then cook it for maybe 20 minutes. But if you're wanting it to be more of a dipping sauce, so a lot thicker, obviously you can add more xanthan gum, but that's not ideal. You want to cook it down, get a lot of the moisture out of this, and you'll end up with a much thicker sauce. And that'll take about 45 minutes to an hour on a low heat, low simmer. It's doing a couple things when you are cooking it like this. Number one is it's breaking down the chilies a little bit, it's softening them up, infusing the flavors into the rest of the ingredients here, the water and all that as well. But it's helping to make this a lot safer. Now the citric acid is going to reduce, and also the vinegar is going to help reduce the pH, which is what makes it more acidic, and that makes it shelf stable. So by cooking it, that's helping with killing off anything that doesn't get impacted by acidity, and the acidity obviously takes care of the rest. Now, if I was doing this just with xanthan gum at this point, I would be adding it in because, like I said before, heat doesn't affect the xanthan gum. However, with the cornstarch, you want to add that very close to the end, maybe in the last 5 minutes. So the safe temperature you're looking for here is around 85 degrees Celsius, so you don't actually need to get to a simmer. The reason you'd want to get to a simmer, obviously, is if you want to reduce the sauce a little bit and remove some of the moisture. But from a safety perspective, if you're making other sort of sauces, then 85 degrees Celsius is where you want to get it to for at least 10 minutes from a safety perspective, and then obviously longer if you want to thicken that sauce up. Okay, so I'm going to add my xanthan gum to this pot. So this is going to be the xanthan gum pot. This one's going to be the cornstarch. Xanthan gum is as easy as just adding it straight in. I might need to blend it in because it also can form lumps, but cornstarch is much worse. I'm going to prep this cornstarch, this little bit of water here. So just a little bit. You want to make like a paste or a slurry. Just want to get these back up to a simmer, and then we'll cook them for about 20 minutes. And in the last 5 minutes, I'll add the cornstarch over here. So we can see this is definitely thicker. Okay, we have about 5 minutes left for these to finish doing what they're doing. So we're going to add in our slurry. Now, to make this a little bit easier, I'm actually going to pour a little bit more of this liquid inside the slurry just to help mix it up. Just try and get all of it. Now the sugar in this is also going to be thickening it up a bit, but like I said before, we are trying to emulsify this, bring it all together, make sure that it doesn't separate. And yeah, the cornstarch will help with that too. So I'm just going to stir this up a little bit. So xanthan gum, the thickening, the effect is actually relatively quick, not instant, but it's relatively quick. With the cornstarch, it takes a little while for it to happen, purely because the cornstarch is actually cooking. And that's why you got to make sure it's all mixed in properly, because if it cooks and it's still lumpy, then you're going to end up with some very odd lumps inside your sauce. Okay, I think we are done. Let's bottle each of these and we'll take a look and we'll discuss a bit of the pros and cons of using xanthan gum versus using cornstarch. Here we have our two sauces. This is the one with xanthan gum, and this one over here is with the cornflour. Now, I'm not seeing actually too much difference. One of the big differences that you're going to find typically when using cornflour, and I have seen it with this type of sauce, is that the clarity isn't as good as it is with xanthan gum. But right now, that's not really too apparent, because obviously the xanthan gum, it did bubble up a bit more, and because of the xanthan gum, those bubbles are going to stick around for a bit longer. But once those bubbles disappear, then it's going to be far more translucent than what this looks like right now. But honestly, they both look amazing, and I'm looking forward to trying them. So one of the other very important things to realize here when you're using cornstarch instead of xanthan gum is it does decrease shelf life a little bit. Xanthan gum doesn't break down the way that cornflour does, so you've just got to take that into consideration when you're making this. So if you're looking for the longest shelf life, xanthan gum is definitely the way to go. Okay, we're going to try this. We're going to test this out. I'm also going to test a little bit of that. I think mine looks better than the store-bought. What do you think? Pretty impressed with that. Okay, let's try it out. Yeah, first, well, I mean, honestly, they're both going to taste exactly the same, the xanthan gum and the cornflour version. Nice bit of spice. That's really good. Definitely got quite a bit more spice than this does. I mean, I'm going to confirm now. So we're going to open this one up. This is a very popular brand here in the UK. Blue Dragon. I don't know if you get that in the US, do you? But it smells good. I mean, the garlic, you can definitely smell the garlic in there. I think mine has a bit more of a fish sauce kind of flavor, but let's check. It's quite thick. It's a shame. I've enjoyed this for a long, long time. You know, buying it off the shelf. I mean, I make my own as much as I can, especially when I can get fresh chilies in my garden. Compare it to what I've just made. I'm sorry, Blue Dragon, but that tastes pretty bad. Very, very sweet. Very sweet. It must have a ton more sugar than what I'm adding here. This is just so much better. And I'm not just saying that because it's my recipe. I'm saying it because it's true. It's just so much better. You know, I've worked on this sauce and I've worked on the combination, because obviously, listen, it's a very old recipe, sweet Thai chili sauce, but I've worked on the combinations here, and you know, I think it's just absolutely perfect now. It's taken me a couple of years to get to where it is, but please give it a try. There's so many alternatives for chilies if you can't get hold of things like the Kashmiri Mirch, which is one that I definitely recommend to add in here. But if you can't get Kashmiri Mirch, cayenne is good, or like we did before, the Aleppo is also very good. But make sure that you do add peri peri, bird's eye, that sort of chili. It's a little small chili, and you can always find them in the supermarket. I've yet to find a supermarket that doesn't really stock them. Make sure you get the ripe ones as well, red, because that gives you the beautiful red color. Is it there? If you do want to try my own sauce with my chilies, try out my sweet Thai chili sauce. It's on my shop. You can go find it now, ChilliChump.com/shop. There's a few other sauces and spices in there as well, so go check those out. Thank you again for watching. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Until then, stay spicy.